Now that we have Xcode properly installed and configured for our environment, we're ready to start writing some code. In this lesson, we'll create an iOS-style Hello World app. Let's begin by going to Doc and we'll select Xcode. This will bring up the Welcome to Xcode screen. From here, we can create a new project by selecting the Create a New Project button. Alternatively, we can go up to the File menu and select New Project. This will ask us to choose an appropriate project template for our project. In this case, we want to select Single View Application. So select that and click the Next button. Now on the options screen, there are two key pieces of information we want to provide. We want to provide a product name and a company identifier. For the product name, we'll select Hello iOS. In the company identifier, we typically use reverse domain name notation. So in my case, I'll specify com.tapharmonic. And you'll notice the combination of the product name and the company identifier create what's called a bundle identifier. And the bundle identifier just uniquely identifies this application from all other applications you have installed on your device. We'll leave the class prefix with its default value. From device family, we want to select iPhone. We'll uncheck Use Storyboards. We'll leave Use Automatic Reference Counting selected. And we'll also uncheck Include Unit Tests. And then click Next. It's going to ask you where you want to save this project. In my case, I'll just save this directly on my desktop and click the Create button. So this has created a new project for us. At this point in time, we can actually go up to the Run menu and click the Run button. And this will launch our application in the iPhone simulator. This is pretty nice. Just by creating this project, it automatically created all of the infrastructure we need to get up and running very quickly. Now the application is pretty bare bones at this point in time, but it is a valid iOS application. You could actually install this on the device. If we click the Home button, you'll see there's an icon that says Hello iOS, and we can click that to launch the application again. So let's start building out some functionality for this application. I'll close the simulator. We'll go up to the iOS Simulator menu and select Quit iOS Simulator. And from here, highlight the file that's called viewcontroller.xib. And this XIB file is what's called a nib file. And a nib contains all of your user interface resources. So what we see here is exactly what we saw on screen just a minute ago in the iOS simulator. So let's build out this UI a bit. Down in the bottom right-hand corner, we'll open up the object library. It's the section that has a little cube icon above it. From here, we can scroll through this list and see all of the various components we could add to our user interface. We can also search to narrow down the selection. In this case, we want to select a rounded rect button. So I'll type in round rect. And this is just a standard button component in the iOS library. So I'll drag and drop this onto my canvas. And I'll double click the button to give this a title. I'm going to give this the label Say Hello. So if we run the application again, we'll now see our button show up in our application. We can actually click the button, and we can see we can interact with it. But at this point in time, it's still not invoking any functionality. So let's quit the simulator once again, and let's wire up this button to some code. To do this, we're going to open up what's called the Assistant Editor. Up at the top of the menu bar, you'll see this button in the middle that looks like a little tuxedo icon. And I'll highlight that. And what this will do is open up the source code that's associated with this user interface. So I'm going to highlight this button and hold down the Control key while you click and drag. You'll see a little arrow show up. And in between this at interface and at end section, we want to just let go of this. And this will open up a little dialog. This allows us to create what's called a connection. So the connection type we're going to use is called Action. And we'll give this a name of Say Hello. The type is ID. The event is touch up inside. And the arguments, we'll just select Sender. And we can click the Connect button. You'll see over on the right, this stubbed out a new method called Say Hello. Now let's switch back to the standard editor. So I'll click this icon up here at the top of the screen. And we'll switch over to viewcontroller.m. So we'll highlight that. You'll notice at the bottom, here's the Say Hello method. The other code that we have in here is really noise in this particular case, so let's just go ahead and highlight it and delete it. We want to just focus just on the Say Hello method. When the user clicks the Say Hello button, we want to invoke this method and it'll pop up a dialog with a hello message. So I'm going to use a class called UIAlertView. And a UIAlertView is just the standard user interface component for displaying modal alerts within the iOS framework. So I'll create a new instance, and we'll give it a title of Hello World and a message of Hello from iOS. The delegate will specify nil. The cancel button title will specify the string OK. And the other button titles will leave nil. We don't need any additional buttons on here. So this created an instance of UIAlertView. So now we want to invoke the method called show on here. So we'll say alertView show. So now when the user clicks the button, we want to invoke this method, create an instance of UIAlertView, and then show it on screen. So let's go ahead and run the application again. Now the moment of truth, we'll click the button and see what happens. And there we go. We have our UIAlertView being shown on screen with the title Hello World and the message Hello from iOS. It's not important that you understood everything that we did in this example. Frankly, it's not even important that you understood anything we did in this example. All I really wanted to illustrate in this example is to show you the basic workflow you go through when you're building iOS applications. So congratulations, you've written your first iOS application, and we're ready to continue.